All right, folks. Hopefully our panelists can start their cameras.
Awesome.
Excellent. Excellent. Sorry about that.
Not that you had to see me, but it is more personal. I have to say.
It is more personal. Well, it's why we do this. It's why
Me
we come
too.
together. Awesome. Good to see you, Chris. Awesome. I see looks like there's Jason, there's Kim, there's Tara. We've got Haley here. Thank you so much for joining us. We've got a few more attendees trickling in. So we'll give it another minute before we begin. And again, thank you all for those that are joining us today. I'm excited about this particular series as we kick off a new ViewSonic Educator Community Spring Series. So this is our first one to kick it off. And there's going to be more. And ultimately, we record all of these sessions so that way you can review and take a look at, or if you wanted to share with others, you'll be able to find the recording in our community platform. So awesome. You're going to see quite a few panelists today, some moderation happening, as well as some presentations, as well as special guests. So this is going to be a fun-filled webinar, if you will. So again, we're excited about what we're going to be doing together collaboratively in this hour. So we may start in about another minute here just to make sure folks are trickling in. And again, you have essentially, we've got a lot in store that we want to cover. And typically what we do is we always start with some news and announcements, and then we move into our introductions, and ultimately we'll get into the topic for today. So with that being said, I'm going to get my desktop situated here. We're going to kick it off and we're going to welcome everybody. And again, as folks are trickling in, I'll be putting messages on the chat so that folks can reference. I do want to give a little bit of housekeeping items since this is a Zoom webinar. At the very bottom dock, you're going to see a Q&A option. So any kind of questions that may surface throughout the presentation or today's webinar that you would like to ask, feel free to put that in there. Ultimately, our goal is to answer all questions within the webinar. And if we miss something, well, guess what? We've got this community platform that we have in store for you so that you can continue the dialogue and ultimately we can carry on the conversation. Now, we also have the chat function there, so I'll be putting in a couple of notes, and we also have our awesome team members here that you see webcams on, and we'll do intros in a sec. Will they get a chance to, chat, essentially moderate some of the questions too. Again, we're going to veer into the Q&A, but if you've got some comments that you want to share, feel free to use the chat option. Okay, excellent. So this is what I usually start off with. You're all here to we're here to take a journey together ultimately. And at the end of the day, there's going to be a lot of high level discussion. For those that are note takers, feel free, but at the same time, we record these sessions. So if there's a lot that will get unpacked. So if you want to take this opportunity to sit and get here, ultimately just get comfortable. And again, it allows for our minds to meld a little bit and hopefully share some input here. All right. Well, with that being said, that's a little bit of the housekeeping items. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen to talk about some of the news and announcements that we've got in store. Now, for those of you that this is your first community webinar, we just want to welcome you. And ultimately, this is made possible because we essentially have taken more steps around building our community. Therefore, we've created this platform that I'm going to share for the good of the group, for the good of everyone ultimately. So give me 1 second as I go ahead and share my screen. Hopefully everybody can see that. And where I've navigated everybody, and again, I'll put this in the chat for reference, but ultimately this is going to be something that we're going to share with everyone so that folks can continue the conversation and know a little bit about our community. So if you were to visit viewsonic.com, there is a community button on the very top. And if you were to click that button, it will take you to this landing page. And within this landing page, we've got all sorts of announcements on the top banner, as you can see, starting with news and announcements, content that we've just recently created, and ultimately, other news and announcement that involves our professional development team. and as well as some of our promos that we've got going on. One in particular is invite your friends. Ultimately, if there is an opportunity for you to share out with colleagues, we invite you to do that, and you don't walk away with nothing. There are great incentives and prizes that we essentially um, reward folks for doing so. Because at the end of the day, we don't do this alone, and we've got colleagues that would want to know more of the information. So that way we can steer more presentations and webinars like this moving forward. And ultimately, for those that are, let's say, trend setting or moving into the direction that want to pursue ambassadorship, we're calling everybody that ultimately would like to do this kind of work with us and generate some content within our community platform. We're looking for you all. So highly recommend to check out our ambassadorship role, and at the same time, get a chance to work with our community manager, Ms. Tara Tibbs, who will share more and hopefully enlighten you. All right. So I invite you to all visit that. So I'm going to navigate you now to the Join the Community platform, or our community platform. So you're going to click on the Join the Community button there. And ultimately, it's going to take you to this particular platform. This is our community platform. Now, mind you, our company is a global company. So there is multiple regional forums. So it's going to take you to the North America regional forum. And so in this form, it will give you all sorts of great insights. Obviously, what we've got going on in the very top, given that we've got our first installment today, the banner will be featured. And here I'm going to ask for you all, the folks that are participating, to essentially engage with us within the actual announcement. So today we're going to be talking about fostering student engagement and introducing ClassSwift. So here under your thoughts, where it says, what are your thoughts? I'm going to invite you all to essentially chat with us here during the time of the presentation. So ultimately, you've got the platform here to reference. So if in case you wanted to share some comments for the good of the community or the group, or wanted to reach out to us, you're able to do that within the platform. And we have some special guests that are not shy about the platform, and then they can talk highly about it, or they can talk about their experience. So with that being said, we've also got lots of great content being developed and formed. One in particular that needs to be mentioned, a big shout out, which we want to thank, who essentially are here with us, is Chandler Unified School District. Ultimately, we got a chance to produce a district spotlight where we get a chance to see what their case study is like and how they're implementing solutions at their school site. Again, great resources to reference. Again, it's all about building relationships and community aspirations, because we don't do this work alone. And ultimately, we're here to hear your voices to see how we can steer, especially when it comes to technology solutions forward. And then below, you're going to find things like comments and things of that nature. You have a space to do that. And ultimately, if you're looking for ideation and building other networks, this is a great platform to do so. All right, that was a lot there with news and announcements. Speaking of news and announcements, I love to get to the fun stuff. So I'm going to hand it over to Miss Tara Tibbs, who's going to announce our winners for our most recent promo. So Miss Tara Tibbs, take it away.
Thank you, Ruben, and good afternoon, everyone. It's nice to be with you all virtually. As Ruben alluded to, I do have an announcement, and that is in reference to our Refer a Friend program. If you were joining us at the top of this webinar, Ruben gave a little information around that. That's something that we have going in the background at all times, which gives you an opportunity to tell folks you know about our community and give us their information so that we can bring them into the community. So I want to announce who our winners are. And our level 1 winner, thank you, Ruben. I appreciate you driving the visuals. Our level 1 winner is Miss Rebecca Granger. I know her well. She is also a prospective ambassador. So Rebecca, congratulations. You won our level 1 prize, which happens to be a gaming monitor, and you can see the specs in front of you. Our level 2 winner is Nico Williams. Nico Williams. So let's give it up for Nico Williams. That is our level 2 winner. And you can see the lovely prize that Nico has won. And finally, our level 3 winner, which means, just so we are clear, that means they have brought to the fold, to the community, 5 folks for us to reach out to, and that is Ed Schreiber. Hopefully I said the last name right. If I apologize if I did not, but Ed, some of these names come up in our digital workshops, so I'm excited to see names that are familiar. So to all of our winners, congratulations and thank you. And to those who have not had an opportunity to participate in our Refer a Friend program, no time is too late to jump in. I will be announcing winners at our May monthly webinar. So there's information on our community site for you to get started today if you like. All right, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Ms. Tara Tibbs. And Ms. Tara Tibbs here represents our community as a whole. And so she is our community manager. So any kind of questions you may have, how do you want to participate? How do you get started as the ambassador? You would reach out to Ms. Tara Tibbs to be able to get yourself included. So thank you, Ms. Tara. This is so awesome to hear the winners. What a great way to start our session as folks earn and win prizes. So thank you again for those that got a chance to participate and ended up winning. So this is so cool. So for our folks that are attending currently, you all have a chance to win a giftogram. This is essentially a gift card. And what we're asking folks, and again, I'll put it on the chat because, again, we don't want anyone to leave empty-handed to participate in our community banner post, okay? So I'll give some instructions. But with that being said, let's move into introductions. So I will be Ruben Caputo. I'll be moderating today's session. I am the marketing manager for education for the team. And then I'm going to pass it on to Chris Ryan, who is going to be our presenter for today. So Chris, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Chris Ryan. I am new to the ViewSonic team. I work specifically on the ClassSwift product. I'm helping bring this new technology to the ViewSonic users, and all of our existing customers and districts that are yet to use ViewSonic products will have access to the ClassSwift product. So I'm excited to be here. Thank you guys for having me.
Excellent. Thank you, Chris. And I also see Jason, I see Kim. There are special guests coming from Chandler Unified School District. If you guys don't mind introducing yourself and unmuting.
Yeah, hi everyone. Jason and Kim here. We are instructional technology specialists from Chandler. We had a chance to teach, I guess, a webinar series, what was it, a couple months ago, on student engagement, and that was a lot of fun. And we had a chance to work with Chris with the ClassSwift product in our district. I guess it was right before we went on break. And yeah, so we're excited to be here today.
Awesome. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Kim. And then, of course, we have Ms. Tara Tibbs. Ms. Tara, if you don't mind.
So just real quick, I am the manager over the community, and I'm so excited about the introduction of ClassSwift formally into the community and letting our members know more about it. You all know, if you've seen me at shows or in other digital workshops, that my goal is to ensure that the community supports our ecosystem in its entirety. So I'm just delighted to be able to add to that with ClassSwift.
Excellent. Thank you, Tara. Thank you. All right, fantastic. And we have Miss Haley Hunt, who is our product manager. Haley, if you'd like to say hello, feel free to unmute and say hello to our community members here.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, welcome to this great webinar. Happy to have you all back. You may have recognized me from some past webinars, so I'm grateful to have Chris to lead you all on this ClassSwift webinar. You're going to learn a lot of great information and excited to hear back from you. Thanks, everyone.
Excellent. Thank you, Haley. All right. Well, Chris, again, we've been hearing a lot of buzz around ClassSwift. And so for those who don't know what it is, again, hang tight. You're about to get a lot of info here. So Chris, if you don't mind taking it away, what is ClassSwift? What is it that we're so unique? And I'm going to hand this over to you.
Thank you, Ruben. I think the best way to introduce, we are going to introduce a new product. So we're showing you a new service. And I think I'm aware from my work in the industry and working with school districts that new products are always, if it's really great functionality, it'll get used and a lot of teachers will benefit from it in the classroom. And that was one of the reasons I was drawn to the team at ViewSonic when they presented this to me was how this tool helps with engagement between students and teachers. So I really want to focus on that and that interaction. And just for a couple kind of ideas, and you can answer in the chat window or as you well, it's going to be the chat window for now. But as you that are listening, really, as you think about the tools that teachers use now to quickly check for understanding, what are some of those tools that they quickly use to try and capture student understanding so they can move on with their unit or their lesson. Now, I'm going to wait for just a second and we'll allow that to anyone want to weigh in on the webinar chat. While that's happening, I'm going to open my screen and share my desktop, Ruben. So I know there's a lot of options that teachers have and districts have for just checks for understanding. I also know that there's a lot of districts use a formative assessment system to make basically track for benchmarks or ongoing formative assessment that they do in the district. So those I want to just activate kind of two things in your head. One, are they doing this in a way that really helps with their instruction and functionally helps with their instruction? And then two, can they do it in a way that is seamless and quick without interrupting the session or the way they interact with students? So with that kind of framing our conversation here, I want to just I'm going to bring you in as if you're our students, and luckily I have backup with me today with Jason and Kim. So after I give a little demo, an example of what this is, so that all of our guests understand what it is, we'll talk about their experience. So it really makes more sense or is more clear for everyone. The application itself, I'm working in a Windows environment. The application itself is this little tile that you see at the bottom of the screen. And I'm going to join my class, Mr. Ryan's class. And for those of you that are in the audience and joining, you're welcome to scan in with your phone. This will be an example from a student perspective, so you can see what the student interface looks like and this interaction looks like from their experience. So I'll give you all just a second to come in. This is only one way that we offer the students to get in. We also can bring in, upload all the students at once so that it's a single sign-on experience. What you'll do when you scan in is select a seat. You're gonna accept the seat and then write your name and then submit, and it'll put you in one of the seats. And I promise what we covered today will not go on your permanent records. None of this will go on with any of your permanent records. So, and there's no judgment here. So this is really just an example to show you. The tool itself is intended to be accessed at any point in the day. A teacher can grab this link. It's a direct link. I could copy it. I could place it in my LMS so that when they come into class, the students who would have a device can access the link and they're immediately ready for the interaction. And I see a lot of you joining. Looks like everybody. I'll let a couple more trickle in here. But what I'll do is I'm going to close this window and I'm just going to open a couple items so you can see what this looks like from a formative assessment standpoint. Really, I'm going to do a really quick one just right out of the gate. This is I'm basically grabbing small portions of content from my desktop and using this to start a really quick quiz with you as my students. So, and why I'm going to do this is I'm just going to show you the quick response and kind of the quick functionality. If you're using a phone, it's a smaller form factor. It is a smaller window. You'll make your selection and you'll see the answers come back. I did get a chance to see Jason use this in person. So when he happened to use this on a whiteboard, on a ViewSonic board, and it was really exciting to see. He kind of flashed the answers as the teacher and was excited. You know, the kids were excited about this because of the flow, which we'll talk a little more about. But for this answer, I'm just going to post the answer. All of you got it right. This is fantastic. We're off to a good start today. It looks like this is going to be a good session, and I'm just going to use one of the engagement tools to kind of drive our discussion a little further. You know, if we were in class, I would call on you, but since you all muted, we'll have to use chat. But this is how we have included some of the engagement functionality within the tool. So I wanted to show that, and I want to show just a couple other pieces. I think from this basic, you know, I'm showing you a very basic demo, so you can see what the functionality, how it can be positioned in class. The other really quick engagement tool that's built in is a timer and a buzzer. This little tool floats here, and I can use these at any point in class. So if I do start the buzzer, it's going to send all of you out, and Haley hit the button first, and she is our winner. So Haley, I could call on her. I just wanted to illustrate the functionality. I don't know if I've had one this fast. Haley just we might have to change our game a little bit. But this is just a quick example. The other examples I do want to show, because these are to the point, to the idea that as a teacher, or as you're trying to make this, I'm presenting this, or I grabbed that screen grab right from a presentation. I just put about 6 slides together with some questions, some items. You know, it could be any type of content that we have sequenced in here. But one of the things you can do is grab content straight from your screen, from your desktop. So if you had it in presentation mode, if you're on a website, or you have an illustration you'd like the students to interact with, you can grab the content and leave some white space to show, you know, have the students show their work. This example is just a really quick one, and I can show others here as we dig in. But this is going to allow those responses to come back. So if you tap the image, you're able to write on the image itself. When you hit edit, you can make the edits, and then you can submit it back. So those will come back to the teacher for review. This can be used in, you know, we've seen it used with, you know, doing math work, doing, you know, getting quick response back on some of the content, so that the teachers can move on. They can show the illustration, kind of get an understanding of how the entire group is working. In this case, you're seeing these. Depending on how you set this up in class, you may be able to kind of sequence these so that not every student's name is visible, and you can select the answers that you think are more teachable, right? You can dig deeper with that. But this example, you know, you can see some of these coming back. You know, this was you know, a really quick example that I grabbed. So this is the push and respond functionality. The other is a single instant push, and this may be used. We added this recently. It basically takes a screen grab of the entire screen and sends it to the student. And this is in one button, in one push. So that one motion, if this teacher has their entire screen up and it's a full screen image, it allows the student to interact with that right away, creating fewer clicks for the teacher, so that interaction is on the fly. There's one last piece I want to show, and as a part of this interaction and the work with the tools, if there are any of the participants here or attendees that want to try this in their own environment, we would love more beta feedback, and we'd love to try it out in more settings. We do have multiple item formats that you can see here, and we are infusing some AI into this product as well. And I think it is worth just showing some of these ideas, because it's really kind of, you know, I know AI is super hot. The way that we're approaching this is we feel from a technology standpoint, we want it to be led by the teacher. So I'm going to show you an example. I'm just using a Britannica article with a definition of the scientific method. What the AI can do is grab content and then very quickly help you build new items from the content that it pulls. So this was just a really quick screen grab that I pulled. I'm going to switch this to science. I'm in Illinois, so I'm going to use Illinois 7th grade. And I'm going to hit generate quiz here. This is just a screen grab from that little sentence of 2 sentences from the definition of scientific method. The idea would be very quickly getting new creative questions that the teacher could use with their students. They could use it in the moment. You could do this in advance. So you do this work, you select some of these items. If I were to push this one, I have some options to look at the results. So this would be, the answer would be B on this one. I can push that to my class from this location. So you can see the answer, the questions coming out to the students. This really is where we're trying to support the teachers in a way that makes AI more accessible without really without interrupting how they do and they operate in their classroom. So the 2 things we know for sure that the teachers are going to leverage are their lesson plans and their canned curriculum. The results or the content that you have from your existing products that are used in the district. So this is those 2 pieces, knowing that those are the 2 areas that are really important. We have a lot of respect for how teachers operate and the work that they do. We feel this is all complementing the speed, the ease, and the ability to apply content in a way, automated or AI content that can really be more helpful. The other AI piece I'm not going to quite get to in this discussion, but it happens on the back end of the system. If teachers collect 5 assessments with their class, they can go to lesson insights. So if we have a standards aligned series of questions, let's say 5 English language arts or science questions that are of the same topic, and it's a pretty narrow scope that the teacher is working within, the AI will analyze the answers for those 5 of those 5 items and the students that replied, and then give you some results. So the quick summary would look something like this. It gives a very high level overall summary, and then some basic, how they answered to each of the questions, and then some very high level results that are aggregating some of the results that the students have made, in that five item or 5 question mini quiz or lesson. We give you some suggestions. We're working on building this out more extensively. And then we're also building new items based on those responses that can be used. And those are AI generated as well. These functionality it's very new right now. We're so excited to show it off, and we really want users to have a chance to use it and show the results and leverage this in their class. I'm going to pause for just a minute. It looks like there's a couple questions that may have popped up. Ruben, are there any questions that we want to address?
Yes, thank you. So there is a question coming from Jamie Jordan. Can you please share the web address for ClassSwift? Oh, I think Jamie, I think we might have, yeah, thank you. I think we'll put that on the chat, and I'll also take that chat and I'll put it in the Q&A. Perfect. Excellent.
That went to host and panelists, so I need to make sure that one gets out to the masses.
Okay, yep. I will put it out there. Thank you. I will also put it out there. So thank you.
If you go to the page where our ClassSwift page, you will see there's some illustrations and some additional work that you'll see here that we've got rolling. But with that, I wanted to at least get this far. There was a Q&A in the Q&A. All right.
And that should do it for the Q&A at the moment.
Okay. Awesome. So with that, I want to say I just gave you a quick tour. you've all done fantastic in my class. First of all, I want to say this is a very exceptional class. I'm excited to have all of you. I do want to kind of a segue to Kim and to Jason, because we did spend some time together. They had mentioned that we were in the district and got to see an observation. They were kind enough to set up 5 observation classes in the elementary school and one high school session. And I know it was a tight time frame and it was a lot to ask, and they did exactly that. And it blew us away. It blew Cindy Chen, who was our product one of our product team developers, and seeing it in action was awesome to see. And we want others to do the same thing and try it out. But Kim and Jason, thank you again for that day. It was awesome. And I don't know if I found 2 unicorns, but I feel like I found 2 unicorns in the education world. So it was fun that day to see the interaction that you guys were a part of and drove, because it wasn't us doing it. We were on along for the ride that day. But do you guys, one of you, Jason, you want to kick off like the how the product, this service, we introduced it to you and you're kind of a part of the community, and you took a risk and tried it out. But do you want to share kind of your initial experience or some feedback on how this was leveraged?
Yeah, we'd love to. Yeah, we had the opportunity to have Chris and Cindy in our district, and it was a really great day of 2 days of instruction and testing out this product. We were very grateful that we had the opportunity to do that. So thank you for that opportunity. Jason got to teach in a couple elementary classes. We did a couple different grade levels. And he can talk about that. And then I did a session in our secondary in one of our high schools the next day. And we had a really positive experience. And we're excited to kind of talk about what we were able to do.
Yeah. So we kind of started, we try to do is just meet with teachers across the grade level so we could kind of see the interaction. And we took the lead on it because we didn't want we just wanted the teachers to observe. And it was really cool because they got to actually be involved and just focus on the product itself and focus on the interaction that they saw with the students and ourselves. And we actually got to test out the product both with one school that had the view boards and one school that hadn't yet. So we did it through casting, which was really cool too. So we got to see that there's a lot of a range, because as we talked about in like our district spotlight, our whole district is getting view boards, but we're not completely there yet. It's about a 2-year, I think now officially. Yeah, 2-year rollout. So we only have half our district that has view boards and the other half is getting it. So it was really cool to go ahead and test this product out. But one thing we absolutely loved about it is that we were able to throw it, use anything we had in the moment. When I envision this thing, I envision it as something being opened all day long, that if I'm in the middle of a math lesson and I've got my district math book up on the board, because with our required curriculum, you got to use it. So I envision our digital curriculum up on the board and just taking that quick screen grab and sending that question out to the kids and getting rid of those old-fashioned whiteboards, because now I get to actually get the engagement, whether it's asking kids multiple choice questions or whether it's using the push and pull and just getting that question right there. And it was a great way to do that. And then to be able to interact with the answers as they were coming in, and to be able to like write on the board. And like, if it was math questions, we were able to look and see the different mistakes that were being made. And it was just a great way to get that instant feedback and be able to adjust your lesson on the fly. So yeah,
I think it really helped to engage every student in the classroom as well. Even if they weren't the ones that were talking about the answers after they were able to participate. We were able to get a quick glance of how they were doing on that concept. Jason was really good about like stopping it and almost like reteaching the concepts that maybe they didn't remember or hadn't been totally introduced to yet. So it was really cool to see just that live feedback, that immediate feedback that was able to take place from every student in the classroom. And I got to experience it on the secondary level, and I was at a site that didn't have view boards. So I was casting from my laptop and actually just running it from there. So the students didn't see me push anything out to them, but they were receiving my questions on their one-to-one devices. We had that shared through just the link in their learning management system. And so they were able to quickly join, and they liked a lot of those sort of extra features that almost made it like gamification, and getting them to really buy into what we're doing. We were doing practice AP multiple choice. so
nothing too exciting.
Nothing too, I mean, I was an AP teacher, so I guess I can say that it can be very tedious. And so it was nice to add that gamification to it. They really, really liked the buzzer. And typically, in my experience as a secondary teacher, I did not have a lot of hand raises in my class. There's always like a couple, but you put a buzzer up on the screen and they're like, yes. And then they have to answer, and they're kind of stuck on it. So that was really fun. And I personally really liked the random draw and the advanced random draw that Chris just showed. What was nice is that you could filter by the correct answers. So if you had a multiple choice question that they had responded, if I don't want to put a kid on the spot that got it wrong, I can just do the random draw based on the kids who got it right, and they can explain the reasonings to help those students that may have missed it without having to embarrass someone who may have gotten it wrong. Or vice versa, I can check in on those kids who got it wrong. So I really liked that feature of being able to do that, because cold calling students can be really intimidating. I don't want them to feel like I'm picking on them. So, but I do want to hear from everyone in the class. So I did really like that feature because it kind of puts it on the platform to choose, and it doesn't feel like me like, hey, Chris, answer this question. So I did really like that feature as well.
It was, as watching you guys do that was you could see the depth that they were getting out of it, because that you kind of mentioned the spillover discussion after some of the items were you presented the answer, but you also worked through the logic of the problems. But what we saw watching the students in that engagement was their conversation. So it was almost like mini crowdsources in the groups that they were in. Student hadn't answered yet, or Jason was waiting on some of the answers for the students to complete their submissions. And the little groups were kind of talking with each other, and we just covered it last week, and they were kind of helping them along, and that spillover was really interesting in driving that depth. It also was fun for us to watch. There's the student interaction, which clearly both of you were, they knew you personally, so they knew you and it was familiar, which I think was an advantage for sure. But the way that you guys kind of guided them through that with the teacher next to you, so they were excited because they saw how they could leverage it. It was almost as though you were modeling in front of your teachers how this could be used. So it was kind of a unique space that you guys created to do that, and I think it was definitely noticed. What did you guys did talk to teachers? I know we had talked afterwards, but what was some of the comments that your teachers had about that interaction, or that they were able to share with you?
I think one thing about it, because obviously when you have strangers come in the room, they're excited and it's the first time using it, they're going to be excited. That's just typical kids. So if you kind of ignore that concept and look at the real thing, one thing I love about it is for those simple formative assessments with a regular basis, if you have a whiteboard or a Post-it note as you walk out the door, most of the time you tend to forget to follow up with things, or you just don't have time to look at it. And one thing I really love about the hub for ClassSwift is you can go back and look at the responses later. So you can focus on the kids then and there and look at everything so easily and always go back to do that. So I think that's one thing it really bodes well for. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It certainly does. I did not show that. Let me go and I'll show an example of that, some of the lesson records.
And this is just a glance at it, because the cool thing about this ClassSwift, it is a series. And so Chris' primary objective is kind of to give you that high level introduction for this session. The next session, we're going to touch on AI, and then we're going to have a whole session more so devoted to this this hub functionality or the backend or the teacher component, which I think is such an awesome tool, because as Jason said, like when we're getting doing that formative assessment on the fly, we don't often have a way to record and capture that data, and this is going to do it for you. So I think that's an amazing piece that I love that you guys just highlighted as well. So just wanted to add that tidbit in.
And
So
I think
Jason,
one thing that was really
go
cool
ahead.
about it is we did zero pre-teaching to the kids at all. We literally, right before we got in, like actually right when we got in the classroom, we posted the link in their Google Classroom. And we didn't really teach the kids how to use the platform. We just kind of went with it. And I think what really showed well on that is obviously there's learning to do on the teacher end, how to navigate, because the teacher does everything. But what was really cool is that the kids, it was very intuitive for the kids. They figured it out like with very little kind of help.
Oh yeah, secondary needed no help whatsoever. It was I gave them no like instruction on how to do it, and they're like, oh yeah, they're very good at navigating those tools, but it is very intuitive of just being able to figure it out. And I think you can see that as just like we're mostly all able to get in from wherever we are today, as Chris was demonstrating. I think it shows just like how you can really bring a lot of people together from very quickly, even from a long way away. So
yeah, that was when we were watching, and just for those of you in the audience or in the team here, the devices they used were Chromebooks at the student level. The lowest grade was third grade, upper grade was, I think those were sophomores, juniors, I think. Juniors, the frame that so on your phones, it's a relatively small frame. On the devices with a little larger space, there's actually some white space that it fills out around. It's easier for the students to use, but that was exciting to see. And I think we only had to really show the third graders how to use and draw and click the image. And it was only we just needed to prompt them. Once you said, hey, go ahead and touch it, you can touch it, they just went nuts. So that was fun to see. That happen and kind of in real time see that happen. So we talked about student experience. We talked about kind of the teachers. For me, I as an observer, we left with and had a big conversation about the depth of what both of you were able to do once you presented an item to students and then drive. And Kim, you kind of mentioned even the students that you may not have reached typically. Both of you did some strategies that were, it was, all I can say is experienced teacher leverage. I don't know how else you call it, but already going into it from the conversation you've had, even in that hour that we had with them, where the bounds of the team were, right? Or the team you were teaching to. And it was fun to see that play out in real time, because you were able to dig deeper and there was a lot of extra conversation that happened around that inquiry based, driving more questions. These questions posed more, and it was really fun to see that. Even after you had left as we left some of those classrooms, the teacher was a couple of those teachers there was a lot of chatter, and those teachers were a little energized by the entire interaction. So it was fun. That was a fun thing to see from a product standpoint. Because it doesn't. Yeah, and I'm curious, was there other feedback that you had, Jason?
I was just going to throw in there that one thing that was really cool about it is it does leverage that ability to have good teaching. And that was what was really cool, is because a lot of kids are scared to share their answers, like especially like holding up a whiteboard. They'll try and change their answer real quickly because they don't want to be embarrassed and things like that. And what it did is it really opened the door to those shy kids in class to be able to share with kind of little, what's the word I'm looking for? Little pressure. Like they were able to share and just be open, and you got their authentic answer and not just the answer that they real quickly erased. I know in the younger grades. Yeah. And I think what it really did is it did allow us as teachers to be able to just leverage that information we just gathered and be able to do something right away. which is really cool because it's something we're always trying to do. We have limited class time, and being able to change or adapt a lesson right in the moment really does bode well. And know like, oh, we can't go on to the next math lesson. We clearly have an issue here. It just really helped bring that good teaching and use those one-to-one devices in a really authentic way.
Yeah, and the feedback that we got that was nice is that what sets it apart is that it doesn't have to be prepared ahead of time. With a lot of other platforms where you're trying to get student engagement like that, you have to prep the questions ahead of time and make sure it's all set up and running in the program correctly. And this one really is nice that you don't have to do that. You can just do it in the flow of teaching, which I think is really important.
Yeah, it doesn't interfere with the lesson at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was you could tell. Actually, both of you did this where you used almost all the item format types. So you used some short response, multiple choice, true, false. All that was used. And I think Jason, you did it with a couple of the classes where you finished with, they just needed to say what they learned, what they liked best. You either started or ended with it for your classes on what they learned, what do they remember most about the last 6 or 8 weeks that you were kind of quizzing them on, and it kind of drove a whole new level of conversation, and it was fun to see that. And you were able to kind of flash because you were on the screen and it was right in front of you as those answers were coming back. You kind of flashed those answers, and I think some of you could probably see I was doing that. To me, that was the quick kind of sentiment check that you were making, because you then recalculated what you were refining as the areas that they needed to fill, and focusing on that, which I thought was, as an observer, and I haven't spent time in the classroom like you guys have, but that was appreciated on our side, my side, to see that in real time. But yeah, so we're close to our time here. I don't want to. Are we good on time, Ruben?
Yes, Chris. No, thank you. We're close to that time. I'd say we've got about another 5 more minutes. Then I'd like to hopefully bring folks into our attention of our community platform. But this, again, folks, you're getting a lot here in just hearing, Chandler's experiences. Is there any questions that you all may have surfaced here that you'd like to ask our guests? If so, take a moment to think about that. Again, Chris is showing you a lot of demonstration here at the very introductory level. There is more to dive into. It's very comprehensive. And again, I don't think 1 hour does it justice, quite honestly. So what I'm going to do for the good of the group is I'm going to launch a poll, and it's just to gauge interest in terms of seeing who would like to get started in ClassSwift to pilot this, quite honestly, and actually go a little bit more in depth in terms of what it looks like, how can this be implemented, getting a more tailored type of explanation and even walkthrough. So if you all could take a quick moment to just respond to the poll, that would be greatly appreciated. And also, I did want to make a quick reference. It looks like we've got folks chiming into our community banner. Feel free to take a moment. It looks like we've got about 6 participants. I'd like to bring in more folks so that we can spin that wheel at the very end. So that is it from my end in terms of quick little announcements. But Chris, if you want to take them or navigate them to anything that you want to continue with that's worthwhile mentioning, we've got about another 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, I think something just for Kim and Jason's sake, I am gonna show one last feature. I'm gonna open this up again. I believe students should still be in. This might not be it. We don't need anyone to jump in. I can show this from just from the system here from a usability standpoint. But quiz generator, this functionality, I just clicked the quiz generator tool. I'm going to open something up and just show this to you. I did we did some work with in a demo the other day, and what I did was they asked, happened to be in Texas, but they asked for the quiz generator content grabs, like I did earlier. It grabs content. I grabbed the example I used earlier, and it builds the items. But they asked if I did this for the state of Texas. And I did this for Texas. I did it today with Illinois. But I'm going to do history. And they were asking, is the tool, can it use images, and what does it create? And this was, I just grabbed, you saw me grab an image. I'm just using an image of Illinois and history. It's set to 7th grade Illinois. But it gives you items that are aligned exactly to Illinois history. And they're usually, right now we have it set so it gives the teacher 5 items. But in every state, there's always a history piece around what's unique to your state. But this was a really interesting way to illustrate and think about the creativity that it takes a teacher to create new items and questions around content, and potentially take questions and items that they've used. If they reteach or teach that content and want to go deeper, sometimes that creativity, this is that boost. And for me, and considering AI, this is that boost that allows for creativity, and it kind of keeps you as the professional and the content expert, but helps you build that additional content and leverage it a little differently. But I just wanted to show that it does images as well. I thought that was really interesting, and the group that I was presenting with was excited to see it when I shared it. But that's the piece that we definitely want to get feedback from and work with you and Jason and Kim. I'm showing you that because we did just talk about this not all that long ago, but we'd love to get feedback as we continue to work with you guys. So maybe we can get this in front of some additional teachers. But that's I thank you guys. Is there any other closing comments that you guys wanted to make around our experience, or for those that are considering or wanted to do a pilot? Any advice? Any advice you want to give them?
Reactions, anybody?
I think just like anything, just the cool thing is you don't have to have the view boards yet to do it. So you can just get out there and try it. And I think just like anytime you're throwing a new tool in, realize that it might not be smooth right away and just keep on playing with it. And that's where it was really fun. And don't be afraid to like get the kids involved, because even when I was clicking something wrong, I'm pretty sure I probably brought the kids in at some point. I'm used to making mistakes in front of them. But it's just exciting to find a way that works with any content area that you're using. And that's what's really cool.
Cool. Thank you. I do see one last question that came up. It looks like someone's asking, what's the cost? The way we're approaching this at list price, the way we're pricing this is at $125 per teacher per year. And of course, we'll figure out some bulk pricing and licensing and things with districts. But we definitely we're excited about it. We're building in new functionality with it every day. And it's usable. Once it's on, Martha, it's on at any point. So you can use it as many times as you want during the day and throughout the year.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you so much. And folks, for those that are participating, thank you so much. We want to obviously thank our special guests, Jason and Kim, honestly, for making time available in their busy schedules to come on to this webinar to kick it off in terms of our spring community webinar series. And Chris, thank you so much for the presentation you just gave us at a very high level. And folks, thank you so much for also completing the polls. So it looks like we've got quite a few folks that are interested. And again, as you share and as you go through the pilot phase of this, feel free to share others that you think would benefit as well. This recording will be available in our community platform shortly following. Hopefully by tomorrow, you'll see that post. Those that got a chance to comment, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now because it looks like we're going to spin that wheel. So how exciting. Here we go. Here we go. Let's share my screen. All right, here we go. So hopefully everybody can see here. So folks, thank you again for participating and providing your comments here. I'm going to quickly refresh just because I don't want to miss anyone. So I can capture names. Oh, I knew I would. Okay, here we go. Let's get Kim involved in there. Let's put Kim. And what the hey, we're going to put Jason in there too.
Yeah, I was going to say, you got to get these two in there.
Absolutely. All right. Excellent. All right. So here we go. We're going to spin that wheel. All right, countdown. Here it goes. 3, 2, 1, and we're spinning. And who do we got? It looks like we've got Miss D Wright. All right. Excellent. Congratulations.
Nice.
And again, folks, that is going to conclude for our first session. So congratulations for our awesome winner. We want to thank you all, honestly, for attending today. There are more announcements to be had. Again, Ms. Tar Tibbs can share a little bit more. There's been office hours being promoted, things of that nature, digital workshops, district spotlights. I'm going to pass it to Tara unless I miss anything. Ms. Tara.
No, thank you, Ruben. And congratulations again to the Wright for your victory. And thank you all for your participation. Thank you to our special guests, Jason and Kim, and to Chris. Regarding the community, if you just joined today, there's a lot of great programming that's happening. As I said earlier, my goal is to ensure that the community does in fact support our ecosystem. And to that end, I want to make sure that I'm putting the necessary support systems in place. So if you haven't had a chance to check out our digital workshop series, of course, we have our webinars here around more so product, but our digital workshop series gets more into best practices. And we have that happening at the end of the month for this particular month. And it's going to be around test prep. So it kind of works in concert with ClassSwift. And then we have our digital office hours next Wednesday at 10 a.m. And that is something I encourage you to join. That's when we have folks from our customer support and field solutions team join in that virtual time together so that you can get questions or comments, whatever, addressed in real time. And of course, our district spotlight. I'm so excited about that initiative, which allows us to showcase a district and their implementation story. And it is so fitting that we would have our district spotlight folks, Kim and Jason from Chandler School District with us for this. But if you're interested in showcasing your district's implementation story, please feel free to reach out. And so I know we're right at coming very close to our time and folks have got to jump, but thank you again. And I look forward to seeing you on other community events. Thanks, Ruben.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Ms. Tara. Appreciate you all, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Sounds good. Bye, everyone.
Thanks all.